Hallo Leute, ich bin Katja und ihr seht Deutsch für euch. More tenses! Don't forget to watch the introductory episode on tenses first. We're taking a look at the Präteritum or imperfect today. I'm guessing that neither of those words were familiar or helpful to you, so that's what we call our past tense. Once again, as you should be getting used to by now, there is no progressive in German. That means that this tense is the one that is closest to both the simple past and the past progressive. What we do have to watch out for here as well, though, in contrast to the perfect, is that we have more than one form. This is because, unlike in the perfect, we do not have a combined form here, which means that the verb that is conjugated is the one that actually expresses the meaning. That means that for this tense, it isn't enough to just learn one new form. Instead, we get new endings. Let's look at them using sagen. Ich sagte, du sagtest, sie es sagte, wir sagten, ihr sagtet, sie sagten. So what we can see right away is that even though we have a new tense here, the plural endings are set on staying the same. What a boring bunch. The new thing is the singular. Because for once the third person singular doesn't get the special treatment it is way too used to, instead we use the same ending for it that we use for the first person singular, and that is te. So our Präteritum endings are te, test, te, ten, tet, ten. So besides the first and third person being the same in both singular and plural in this tense, we can also see that before every ending we now have a t, which makes it necessary to put an e between it and whatever ending comes after it. So this is actually a lot more reliable than it is in the present tense, because there it's dependent on what the last letter of the stem is. Since here we already always have the t at the end, we always get an e between whatever comes after it, or if nothing comes after it, just the e. Let's try it with another verb that is regular in the past tense. Wollen. Ich wollte, du wolltest, sie es wollte, wir wollten, ihr wolltet, sie wollten. Pretty easy, right? Want to hear something awesome? The present tense endings and these endings are the only tense-based endings there are for verbs in German. Because unlike the Romantic languages, the Germanic languages like to deal with participles a lot more than new endings. You already saw it with the perfect. The Hilfsverb gets a present tense ending and the participle can't be bothered to change. Now a bit more about the Präteritum's usage. I basically already covered the most important things last week, but I just want to go over a few little details today. So what you already should know from last week is that you use the Präteritum in both official and also, most importantly, written language, and also some more intuitive instances in spoken language. For example, if I wanted to ask somebody, or also, like in the following example, a group of people, whether they had fun or not, I probably wouldn't go with habt ihr Spaß gehabt, but instead with hattet ihr Spaß. Simply because it's quicker to say and also doesn't repeat the verb haben. This also is true for sein, so we don't repeat sein twice in the same sentence, and also most of the time for the modal Hilfsverben, because forming their perfect is kind of a hassle, and instead we just go with a Präteritum and then continue with the perfect for the rest of our conversation. Also, this is not a rule, but normally you do not see the second person used in the Präteritum a lot, because the second person, so du and ihr, is used for addressing people, and you normally address people in spoken language. Of course, this is different if you're writing a letter or something, but you could keep it in mind, just that you normally see the second person combined with the perfect. Again, not a rule, just automatically happens due to what we use when. These, especially the whole when to use Präteritum in spoken language, even though normally you don't, that is stuff that you learn from surrounding yourself with German. So, more reason to watch stuff in German, people. So all of this should seem pretty straightforward to you, because it is. The only thing that's kind of annoying about the Präteritum, because there has to be something annoying about everything, are irregular verbs. They are pretty much all over the place, which is why they are getting their own extra later this week, so be prepared. To get your own copy of the script for today's episode, support me on Patreon, which is always linked in the description, and toss me a note with an email address that you use for DropBox. Your random word of the week is something that I really wish I had up here, but right now I don't. Der Saft. Bis nächste Woche. Tschüss!